Welcome to Avatar_VSQ, where stories that seem to only exist in novels are the truth, full of blood and tears. You may have heard a lot about family murders, but there was one case that shook America in the summer of 2025, not only because of its cruelty, but because the perpetrator was the biological father of the three young victims. A family camp, three innocent girls, and a father with darkness in his heart, suffocating them all in the quiet forest night. No one knows what really happened in Travis Decker's mind, only that. When dawn came, the three small bodies lay quietly on the cold ground, and the killer disappeared without a trace, leaving behind a blood-stained car, with both human and animal blood. Stories you are about to hear are the tragedy of silence, the journey to capture the man wearing the father mask, and a warning about the dark things that can arise right in the place that seems safest, the family. On the night of June 1, 2025, a campsite deep in the pine forests of western Washington state was as quiet as any other weekend. The buzz of insects mingled with the quiet flow of a nearby stream. In a separate campsite, the Decker family was preparing for a memorable evening, roasting marshmallows, pitching tents, telling horror stories by flashlight. For three children, Peyton, 9, Evelyn, 8, and Olivia, 5, it was a rare occasion for their father, Travis Decker, to take them on a deep woods getaway without their mother. People around the campsite said that before 9 p.m., they could still hear the girls laughing and playing. A happy family, it seemed like nothing could go wrong. But early the next morning, when the camp patrol received no response from the Decker family's tent after multiple knocks, a sense of unease immediately set in. The tents were torn apart, no one inside. And then, in an abandoned shack 500 meters away, they found the bodies of three girls. Unconscious, cold, their bodies curled up in sleeping bags that had been disfigured by dried blood. Within hours of the news breaking, the campsite had become the largest crime scene Washington state had seen in nearly a decade. Reporters gathered outside the police cordon, cameras panning over every trace of yellow tape, every shadow of a police officer moving silently under flashlight beams, every distant helicopter sweeping the woods. Three girls, three innocent children, were brutally murdered on what should have been a happy childhood trip. The local community, especially families with young children, were thrown into a state of panic. If a father could do this to his own children, then who is safe? One mother exclaimed as she stood clutching her child at the gates of Peyton's old primary school. Online forums exploded with prayers, anger, and countless unanswered questions. Within 24 hours, the name Travis Decker was plastered across the country, not as a victim, but as a suspected devil in the guise of a father. 3 Key questions, invitations to explore. What happened that fateful night? Why did Travis take his three daughters into the woods and leave them there? Did he plan it all along, or did something drive him insane in the dark? What did the police find in his truck, and why was there animal blood there? The story is not a simple murder, it is a maze of secrets, of hidden pasts, of a father who was once a distinguished soldier, now on the run from the world, and as the hunt for him crosses the border, all that remains is a cold silence, and three young souls who will never return. When a murder occurs, people often focus on the killer, their motives, their methods, their past. But before you look into the darkness, pause. Look at the light that has been taken away. The three girls, Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia, are more than just names on a forensic report. They are dreamy kids, still learning to spell difficult words and trembling when speaking up in class. The three girls, Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia, are more than just names on a forensic report. They are dreamy kids, still learning to spell difficult words and trembling when speaking up in class. Peyton, the oldest, at 9, is described as the girl who likes to lead. In school games, she assigns roles, organizes teams, and holds her younger sibling's hand when crossing the street. She likes to write in pink ink in her diary, and dreams of becoming an environmental scientist because people are hurting the earth. In the week before the tragedy, she brought home an essay titled "If I Were President," where Peyton suggested creating more free parks for poor children. Evelyn, 8, is the little artist in the family. She is nicknamed Evie Butterfly because she draws butterflies and sticks them all over the refrigerator. Whenever her mother is sad, Evelyn often slips her a piece of paper with a heart in it. Evelyn's best friend, Sienna, tearfully recounts, "Evie told me she wanted to paint a big picture for her dad for Father's Day. But now." The story is left unfinished in a choked voice. Olivia, 5, is the youngest, a mischievous little girl who often hums TV commercials. Despite her young age, she has an uncanny memory, once making the whole family laugh when she recited a restaurant menu after only seeing it once. Olivia had just learned to write her name without a mistake, and her favorite crayon box still bore the chocolate stain she had gotten on it the night before the fateful day. The three girls, each a little world, a seed that had yet to blossom, a song that had yet to reach the chorus. In the eyes of their neighbors, they were the dream family, blonde princesses who wore matching outfits to church. But it was these three young lives that had been brutally cut short, and perhaps by the hand of the person they loved and trusted most, their father. From the beginning, investigators were clear: there were no signs of forced entry, no disturbances from the outside. Police found no strange footprints, no security cameras at the camp, and no one other than Travis Decker, the children's father, had access to the children at the time of the murders. Travis Decker, 32, was a former soldier, a U.S. Marine. He served 3 tours in Afghanistan, received the Medal of Honor, and was discharged 3 years ago due to post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. On social media, Travis was a model father, often sharing pictures of his 3 daughters wearing military hats, grilling hot dogs, or sleeping on his arm during family camping trips. So what was going on in the head of a father who once loved his children so much? Neighbors said that Travis seemed to have changed recently. He would scream late at night, and even take an axe to the backyard to chop up trees in the rain. Once, his wife, Amanda, called the police because he threatened to free the family from the filth of this world. No one else had the reason or wherewithal to commit the crime. But the case became even more chilling when police searched his pickup truck, a gray Ford abandoned more than 3 miles from the campsite, and found human and animal blood, bloody handprints, and signs of a strange ritual: burned fur, sharp knives, and circular pieces of skin. Was Travis simply a post-war psychopath? Or did he have some kind of religious fanaticism, some kind of hallucination that made him believe that his 3 daughters had to be sacrificed to cleanse the world? The deeper the police dug, the more they discovered that Travis had a troubling search history: pages about survivalist cults, blood purification rituals, and techniques for crossing borders without a trace. The shack where the 3 girls' bodies were found seemed as if time had stopped at a terrible moment. There was no sound. Only the smell of blood mixed with the smell of burned plastic. On the wooden floor, 3 sleeping bags were pulled closed, each containing a small body. Black plastic bags covered their heads, zip ties tied around their arms and legs as if someone wanted them to be unable to move or scream. One of the girls, Evelyn, still had a teddy bear in her hand. In the corner of the shack, a note was stuffed into a crack in the wooden planks: "Forgive me. They will be cleaner when they leave this world." The handwriting was believed to be Travis's, but it could not be confirmed. The police found muddy footprints leading into the woods, but they stopped in a rocky area where they could no longer be followed. Nearby, animal blood identified as deer was found, adding to the mystery. Why was their deer blood mixed with human blood? Was this some kind of creepy ritual? Or was Travis just trying to distract the police with a fake crime scene? As soon as the news of the murder of 3 girls at the camp spread, the authorities in Washington state immediately mobilized all their forces. The investigation team, including the FBI, the state special investigation team, and local police, coordinated to launch a manhunt for suspect Travis Decker, who is currently the #1 suspect, but has seemingly disappeared from the map of the United States. From the scene, forensic technicians collected a series of valuable evidence. A strange liquid was found seeping through the sleeping bag, identified as a mixture of human and animal blood. This confirmed the crime was not simply a murder, but could be a ritual. A piece of burnt rope, accompanied by ashes of a special type of paper printed with ancient letters similar to documents used in mystical rituals, often found in hidden sections. A small USB stick attached to Travis's jacket pocket left in his pickup truck contained video files of himself reciting the oath in a low, deep voice and with dead eyes: "We were not born pure. I will not let you be soiled by this world." Police also began combing through phone data, bank transactions, and traffic monitoring devices. However, Travis appeared to have planned ahead. His phone had been turned off since 10 p.m. on June 1st, cameras around the campsite had been tilted or disabled, and there had been no transactions on his bank card after May 30th. It was as if he had wiped his tracks. During the search of Travis's home, investigators discovered a locked room in the basement. Inside was a map of the national forest with routes marked in red ink, a nearly complete military survival kit, dried food, water filters, survival knives, antiseptics, and even a radio transmitter, military magazines and books about apocalyptic cults, including blood sacrifice, the ideal of the children of the Bible. Meanwhile, the testimony of the children's mother, Amanda Decker, became the key. She said Travis had become less of the husband she knew over the past 2 years. The nightmare began when he came home with a strange look in his eyes and said that the world was being haunted by demons. Travis then banned the children from watching television, made them pray every night in a dark room, and told them stories of the Great Cleansing. Amanda considered divorce, but she was afraid. Travis had threatened, "If you leave, I will keep the children. No one can separate this family unless their souls are free." Those words now echoed in her mind, a premonition of irreversible tragedy. As the story hit the media, people in the area began to give sporadic accounts. A supermarket employee near the camp said that in the early morning of June 2nd, he had seen a hooded man buying canned meat and batteries with a panicked look in his eyes. Another said he had heard a small explosion coming from the woods behind the camp in the early hours of the morning. But so far, no one has seen Travis since the children were found dead. No clear clues. No trace of money or contact. It was as if he had walked into the woods and vanished. On June 8, 6 days after the massacre, a major turning point occurred. On the Washington-Canada border, a trucker stopped near Glacier National Park to report seeing a thin, hooded man sleeping near the edge of the woods with a gun protruding from under his blanket. The SWAT team arrived. But when they approached, the man had disappeared, leaving behind only a blood-stained rag and a scrawled note, "You're saved. Don't look for me, I belong in the woods." The rag was tested for DNA, and as suspected, the blood belonged to Travis Decker. He was still alive and apparently surviving on his wild survival skills, a ghost with a secret. With the evidence now in hand, the police officially issued an international arrest warrant for first-degree murder, child torture, and evading execution. The case shocked the entire United States. Criminal psychologists were involved. Some said Travis may have suffered from acute psychosis caused by PTSD combined with religious delusions. Others warned that this could be a sane but radical suspect, capable of becoming the leader of a new cult. What really happened on the night of June 1st? Did Travis kill his children because he thought he was freeing them? Or was there something deeper, an unseen veil of past, beliefs, or even a second darkness behind it all? On June 22, 2025, nearly 3 weeks after the shocking massacre at the camp, Travis Decker was arrested in an abandoned cabin 12 miles from the Canadian border. He was severely weakened, had lost nearly 40 pounds, was covered in scratches, and appeared delirious. As he was handcuffed, Travis whispered, "They've been cleared. I did the right thing." He was immediately taken to the Pierce County Jail for trial. The case was watched nationwide. In the courtroom, Amanda Decker sat in the middle of the front row, her face pale, clutching a photo of her 3 daughters. Journalists, psychologists, lawyers, and people from several states also attended. The first trial began on June 28, 2025. Prosecutors presented irrefutable evidence. Travis's DNA was found on a zip tie, a plastic bag, and the girl's bedding, video file on USB, where he said salvation requires pure blood, testimony from Amanda and neighbor about unusual behavior months before, map of the forest with escape route and Travis' handwritten plans, which read, Day 1, release the soul. Day 2, retreat into darkness. However, court-appointed psychiatric experts confirmed that Travis was fully aware of the crime. He planned it in detail, carried it out with intent, and understood the consequences. This is evidence that there were no mitigating circumstances regarding his capacity to act. After 7 days of trial, questioning, and debate, the court reached its verdict on July 5, 2025. Travis Decker was sentenced to life in prison without parole for 3 counts of first-degree murder. When the verdict was read, Amanda did not cry. She just bowed her head, holding the bracelet that once belonged to her youngest daughter, Olivia. As she left the courthouse, she said only one sentence: "I don't ask for justice. I just ask for time to go back for one night, to stop him." Outside the courthouse, people brought flowers and photos of the three girls. The photos of little Peyton smiling brightly in her summer camp shirt, Evelyn holding her favorite sketchbook, and Olivia playing on the swings for the last time, all became sacred memories that could never be retrieved. After the murder, the small town where the Deckers lived was forever different. Their house was boarded up, the windows were boarded up, as if no one dared to face the horror of the memory. Amanda moved away, living anonymously, refusing to be interviewed. Old friends say she never mentioned her children, but every year, on June 2, 3 white daisies were placed by the gate of Evelyn's elementary school. The camp where the murder took place was closed indefinitely. Many parents who had signed their children up for summer camp withdrew, and some children developed a fear of sleeping away from home after the incident. A social campaign called "Listen to the First Signs" was launched, encouraging the community to detect and report early signs of mental illness or abuse in families with young children. 54 Additionally, Washington state passed a new law mandating regular psychological testing for veterans with young children, after discovering Travis had been diagnosed with PTSD but had not continued treatment. A social campaign called "Listen to the First Signs" was launched, encouraging the community to detect and report early signs of mental illness or abuse in families with young children. 54 Additionally, Washington state passed a new law mandating regular psychological testing for veterans with young children, after discovering Travis had been diagnosed with PTSD but had not continued treatment. The case of the three girls, Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia, is more than a family tragedy. It is a bloody reminder of what happens when we ignore the silent changes in the hearts of those we love. Not everyone kills, but everyone can lose control. And the scariest thing is not the screams, but the persistent silence in every little sign, a cold look, an unstable word, and excessive control. Society often pushes madness towards the asylum, but forgets that before that, they could have been friends, fathers, colleagues, relatives. And maybe someone saw something unusual, but said nothing. In that darkness, the children, fragile, innocent, become the price of indifference. When the case closed with a life sentence for Travis Decker, the people thought they could breathe a sigh of relief. The killer had been caught. Justice, at least within the framework of the law, had been served. But what remained were the fragments that could never be put together: 3 empty beds, 3 pairs of children's slippers left in the tent, 3 laughters that once echoed in the forest, now only a painful echo in the memories of those who remained. Who was Travis? A loving father or a fanatic possessed by darkness? The answer may have been somewhere in the psychological records, in the sleepless nights, or in the eyes that his wife had seen, but not decisive enough to name them. The scary thing was not that Travis killed the 3 children. The scary thing was that he killed them in the absolute trust they had in their father. It was the hand that once held and comforted them that ended the lives of the smallest creatures. 60 Sheriff Joseph Morgan once said after the trial, "We can reconstruct the scene, catch the killer, bring him to justice. But we can't reconstruct the family." And now, in hundreds of online forums, people are still talking. Why did Travis do it? Was there someone pulling the strings? Was he completely sane when he committed the crime? What didn't get said before it was too late, Emily? But the real question is not about Travis. It's about each of us. How many more Travis are out there? How many more young eyes are yearning to be heard before they fall silent forever? The story of Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia is not an isolated case. It is a symbol of a silent and widespread social disease, silence. Not only from the perpetrators, but also from us, the people around us, who have seen the signs of abnormality but ignored them as if they were not related. Travis is not the first person with signs of mental illness who did not receive timely intervention. And sadly, he will not be the last. When society is still hesitant to talk about mental illness, still equating disorder with weakness, the tragedy will repeat itself. 3 girls, 3 small candles, were extinguished in the arms that seemed the safest. That forces us to ask again the question of community responsibility, true concern for loved ones, and especially, are we listening to the things that no one wants to say? Not all tragedies come from faraway places. Sometimes it grows in the house you live in the heart of the person you thought understood, and perhaps the most heartbreaking thing is not the death, but the fact that we could have stopped it if we had listened soon.